Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Josh Nuno, and as for today, I would like to give you a presentation about procedure of English materials development. So, as for the introduction, English materials development is a systematic process aimed at ensuring that language learning resources effectively support learners' growth and classroom context. This process involves five major procedure. So first is selecting, the second is grading, the third is adapting, the fourth is designing, and the last fifth is evaluating. Each plays a critical role in shaping content that is appropriate, meaningful, and pedagogically sound. This is the procedure, the process which comprises of thinking, adapting, varying, or philosophers evaluating. First is selecting refers to process of choosing the content, such as vocabulary, grammar, themes, and skills that will be included in a language course. Richards in 2001 defines selecting as the act of choosing linguistic items and tasks that are appropriate to learner's language level and learning needs. Similarly, Newman in 1988 emphasizes that selection involves the identification of relevant language input that matches both the learner's needs and offer course objectives. A key article by Tomlinson in 2011 suggests that selection must be guided by the principle of learner-centeredness. According to his findings, selecting materials that reflect real-life language use, learner interests, and cultural relevance leads to higher learner engagement and better retention. The article also recommends prioritizing authentic materials and considering the social context in which learning takes place. For the example, practical example of selection in material development is choosing listening passage that features a language on conversation for beginner in ESL. Oh, I mean, it's beginner ESL learners. So the language is simple, the topic is common, and the task matches learners' needs, such as being able to order food. The selection helps connect classroom learning with everyday situation. Then we move on to grading. The definition for grading is the procedure of organizing selected content in a logical and progressive manner. Wilkins in 1976 claimed that grading involves sequencing material from simple to more complex based on linguistic difficulty and learner development. David and Austin in 1986 expand this definition by noting that grading continues cognitive readiness, meaning content should be introduced in a way that matches students' mental and linguistic capacities. In an article from ALT Journal in 2015, provides an insight to how grading should take into account both frequency, grammar complexity, and task difficulty. The study emphasizes that lexical items should appear earlier in the course if they are more commonly used in the context. Grammar should follow a developmental sequence starting with tenses that are easier to grasp, like the present simple and progressing to more abstract structures. An example for grading can be seen in the course that introduced the present simple tense before moving on to present continuous. This is because learners often find it easier to understand fixed routines and habits before tackling ongoing or temporary actions. Sequencing support learners' comprehension and confidence in using the language. Adapting. Adapting pretty much refers to modify existing materials to suit the needs of a particular group of learners. McDonough and Shaw in 2003 defined adaptation as the process of altering content in response to learner needs, such as simplifying vocabulary or adjusting context for tasks. Tomlinson in 2001 categorizes adapting into four types. First is adding, deleting, reordering, and simplifying, all aimed at improving learning outcomes. An article from TESOL or TSOL quarterly highlights that many teachers frequently adapt materials to take or to make them more culturally relevant and accessible to people. The study found that learners are more engaged when the materials reflect their own experiences and cultural background, something that we take for granted every day or on daily life. Adaptation, especially in common multicultural classrooms where one-size-fits-all materials are often failed to meet the learner's unique needs. Example, an English textbook might contain a passage about Thanksgiving, which may be unfamiliar to learners outside SA. But for example, in Indonesia, Thanksgiving is pretty much a foreign concept because we don't do that kind of stuff here. Teacher could adapt this and replace it with local celebration like Eid, Diwali, Independence Day, etc., etc. This not only increases cultural relevance, which is important, but also allows learners to contribute their own experiences during classroom discussion. Do you move on to designing? Designing refers to creating original materials or tasks that align with course objective. Graves in the year 2000 explains that designing involves planning the structure and content of a course, considering learners' goals and learning styles. Richards in 2001 adds that designing includes the actual production of tasks and material that address specific competencies and communicative needs. According to a 2020 article in Language Learning Research, effective design integrates principle of scaffolding, learner autonomy, and communicative competence. The article stresses that well-designed materials help learners progress step by step through increasing complexity while maintaining motivation. It also recommends designing tasks that are interactive and goal-oriented, particularly in communicative language teaching contexts. Example for this can be referred to when designing is creating a vocabulary game tailored for each of the students while learning shopping-related items. Teacher might design a market simulation where students practice asking for prices, negotiating, and describing a product. The task is interactive, relevant to use, and customized for their level. We move on to the last and fifth element of this procedure, which is evaluating. So, evaluation. It is the process of assessing the effectiveness of language materials in meeting learning goals. Collingsworth in 1995 defines evaluation as an in-depth review of materials based on criteria such as clarity, relevance, and learner engagement. Alice in 1997 distinguishes between predicative evaluation before use and retrospective evaluation after use, suggesting that both sorry, are essential for material improvement. A 2018 article in English Teaching Forum discusses how evaluation must include both formative and summative assessment. Formative evaluation happens during the learning process, providing continuous feedback, while summative evaluation occurs after the material has been used. The article highlights the evaluation of learner feedback, through surveys and interviews, which helps educators refine and improve their materials over time. Example for this can be seen where material is distributing short feedback from afternoon using a reading passage in class. Students are asked whether the topic was interesting or not, if the vocabulary was too hard, or how confident they felt during the related task. Their responses help the teacher adjust future readings for better alignment with experiences and levels. So, we can conclude that the development of English learning materials is a thoughtful and systematic process that involves five key procedures, just like I said. First is selecting appropriate content, and second is creating a logical sequence, adapting it to fix the learner's needs, and designing tasks that are engaging and effective, evaluating their success in classroom. Each step is interconnected and essential for creating materials that are not only pedagogically sound but also relevant, accessible, and motivating for learners. By following this process, teachers, materials developer can ensure that the resources truly support full language learning. So the references for the materials for today. So that's pretty much it from me. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.